Many believed they knew everything there was to know about King Charles. The press, the palace insiders, the so-called royal experts, all confident in their assumptions, especially when it came to his personality, his softness, his so-called inability to lead. But what if they were wrong? What if the version of Charles we thought we understood was only a fraction of the truth? Today, King Charles is not just a monarch. He's a symbol of legacy, but beneath the crown, behind the carefully controlled palace walls, is a story of resilience, heartbreak, quiet strength, and above all, transformation. A transformation that began long before the throne was even in sight. Charles was born into history, the first child of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. From the moment he took his first breath, he was the heir to the British Empire. The boy who would one day be king, but being born royal didn't mean he was born hard. In fact, quite the opposite. Charles was gentle. He loved poetry, painting, the quiet company of animals. He cried easily as a child, smiled more at books than at cameras, and held onto his mother's hand longer than his younger siblings. He was what the royals feared the most in a future king: sensitive. And in the cold, rigid culture of the royal household, sensitivity was almost considered a flaw. His father, Prince Philip, had served in the Royal Navy, a strict man, a soldier, a believer in hard knocks and discipline. He struggled to understand his son. Where Philip was blunt and emotionally distant, Charles was thoughtful, often to the point of withdrawal. So Philip made a decision, one he believed would toughen the boy. He sent him away. At just 8 years old, Charles was removed from the comfort of home and enrolled in Hill House School, a place far different from the palace nursery he had known. From there he was pushed further to Cheam School in Berkshire. The days were long, the structure was strict. Still, the young prince did not complain. But then came the decision that would define his childhood. Gordonstoun, located in the unforgiving Highlands of Scotland, Gordonstoun wasn't just a school. It was a town built around military discipline, outdoor survival, and emotional endurance. It was designed to strip boys of their softness, and Charles, above all, was sent there to be fixed. He arrived at Gordonstoun hoping for reprieve, maybe even friendship. Instead, he found cold showers at dawn, icy dormitories, punishing hikes, and bullying that never relented. To many boys, he was nothing more than a soft, rich kid, with an invisible crown and no backbone. He became their target. A fish in a barrel, as some later described it. And yet, he never asked to be pulled out. He wrote letters home filled with sadness, yes, but not weakness. He endured, not because he enjoyed the suffering, but because he believed it was part of the duty expected of him. Even at 14, Charles understood what others didn't. He didn't need to be feared. He needed to be strong, quietly, from within. After Gordonstoun, Charles could have easily retreated. No one would have blamed him for choosing the safety of palace life. But he did. He shocked the world once again by choosing to serve in the military. Not in name only, but in action. He enrolled in the Royal Air Force, then the Royal Navy. During his second year at Cambridge, he trained in the Chipmunk aircraft, earning his RAF wings. The same hands once used to sketch watercolors were now steering aircraft through British skies. Palace insiders doubted him. Just another performance, some whispered. He won't survive, others predicted, but they were wrong again. Charles thrived. He didn't just wear the uniform, he respected it. He took orders. He trained with discipline. And he endured with the same quiet strength he'd been growing since childhood. He later joked that toughness was overrated, that he didn't need to roar to prove his worth. "I chewed them up and spat them out," he said once, referring to those who doubted his grit. But even that rare burst of bravado came not from ego but from relief, finally proving he wasn't just the emotional boy everyone had dismissed. Yet despite his achievements, doubt always lingered around him like a shadow. When Charles became Prince of Wales on July 5, 1969, some believed the title had been handed to him too early, that he was not ready, that he lacked the hardness of a ruler. He was too empathetic, too kind, too human. They didn't realize that's exactly what made him strong. He had already endured more scrutiny than most royals face in a lifetime, not just from the media, but from within his own home. Behind palace walls, whispers of too soft, not king material, emotionally unstable followed him like ghosts. But through it all, Charles kept going. He served, he studied, he represented the monarchy with grace. Even when grace wasn't returned to him, he watched as others around him crumbled under pressure. But he remained calm, controlled, quietly consistent. By the 1980s, Charles had become one of the most traveled royals in history, visiting Commonwealth nations, building bridges, learning languages, shaking thousands of hands not because it looked good, but because he believed in the role he was born into. And yet, the public still didn't see the full man. They saw headlines, mistakes, scandals. They didn't see the boy who survived Gordonstoun, the airman who flew solo missions, the royal who never stopped carrying the expectations of an entire empire on his shoulder. Now, decades later, as he sits on the throne once held by his mother, King Charles is finally taking a moment to speak, not as a ruler but as a man. He's quietly dispelling rumors, correcting the public record, not with loud interviews or dramatic confrontations, but with simple truths. And perhaps the most powerful truth of all is this: everything we thought we knew about him was incomplete. Because the real Charles isn't just a king. He is the product of battle, not with swords, but with soul. Not in war zones, but in cold dormitories, inside cockpit cabins, under the harsh lights of public judgment. He was born into privilege. Yes, but he earned the right to be respected. Not through dominance, but through dignity. Today, when people ask whether he was ever tough enough to be king, they miss the point. He was never trying to be tough. He was trying to be true. And that takes far more courage than most can imagine. So the next time someone dismisses him as just a royal, remember this: behind the crown is a boy who wasn't supposed to survive school, who soared through the skies instead. A young man no one expected to lead troops, who earned his wings before his crown. A king whose greatest strength was always hidden in his heart. What do you think? Was King Charles's silent strength what made him truly worthy of the crown? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more untold royal stories that go beyond the headlines, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.